The chilling wail of sirens sliced through the night in Sumy, Ukraine, shattering any illusions of peace. A brutal Russian missile strike, leaving 88 injured, 17 of them children, slammed into schools and residential buildings, a stark reminder of the war's unrelenting brutality. This act of aggression, occurring as U.S. and Russian officials embarked on ceasefire talks in Saudi Arabia, casts a long shadow over any hope of immediate de-escalation. Ukraine, reeling from the attack, vehemently denounced Moscow's pronouncements of peace as hollow rhetoric. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, in his nightly address, painted a grim picture of the daily toll. Every day, every night, Russian missiles and drones rain down on our country. Every day of this war means losses, pain, and destruction that Ukraine never wanted. The sentiment was echoed by Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha, who demanded an end to the bombardment of civilian areas. Instead of empty promises of peace, Russia must stop bombing our cities and end its war against civilians. The attack underscores the cynical exploitation of diplomatic efforts by Moscow, using the window of negotiation to inflict further suffering. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, in the opulent setting of Riyadh's Ritz-Carlton, U.S. and Russian officials engaged in a marathon 12-hour negotiation session, fueled by the ambitious efforts of former President Donald Trump to broker a limited ceasefire. While initial reports suggest a tentative agreement for a one-month halt to strikes on energy infrastructure, following Trump's direct communication with both countries' leaders last week, crucial details remain shrouded in uncertainty. The agreement's scope and implementation remain major points of contention. Will the ceasefire extend beyond energy infrastructure to encompass other vital targets like hospitals, bridges, and essential utilities? The lack of clarity casts doubt on the efficacy and longevity of any such agreement. The process itself, involving separate U.S. negotiations with both Ukraine and Russia, highlights the complexity and delicate balance required to navigate this deeply entrenched conflict. The initial U.S.-Ukrainian discussions, held Sunday evening, laid the groundwork for the subsequent bilateral talks with Russia on Monday. The sheer length of these meetings, coupled with the gravity of the situation, underscores the immense challenges involved in achieving a lasting peace. The backdrop to these negotiations is further complicated by the ongoing geopolitical tensions and Russia's annexation ambitions. Claims of overwhelming popular support for Russian rule in the 4 occupied regions of Ukraine, based on widely condemned referendums, further fuel the conflict's complexity. These assertions, while presented by some commentators like Witkoff to Carlson, are dismissed by the international community as illegitimate and a blatant disregard for Ukrainian sovereignty. The stark contrast between the opulent setting of the Riyadh talks and the grim reality on the ground in Sumy highlights the deep chasm separating rhetoric from reality. While diplomats strive to find a pathway to peace, the constant threat of violence and the human cost of the conflict remain painfully evident. The injured in Sumy, the grieving families, and the millions displaced serve as a constant and brutal reminder of the urgency of finding a lasting solution, a solution that goes far beyond temporary ceasefires and addresses the root causes of this devastating war. The future remains uncertain, hanging precariously in the balance as the world watches, hoping for a breakthrough that can finally bring an end to the suffering. The weight of responsibility rests heavily on the shoulders of those engaged in these delicate negotiations, their decisions shaping not just the near future, but the very fate of Ukraine and the regional stability. The human cost, already immense, continues to rise with every passing day, urging decisive action to prevent further catastrophe. The world holds its breath, hoping that the promises of peace will finally translate into tangible action, ending the bloodshed and paving the way for a sustainable and just peace.